Good morning. It is Thursday, March 26th, and this is today's psychology lecture. Start off with the question of the day. The question of the day is: people generally adjust to stress in two ways, through direct coping, and what is the other way? Go into the Teams app, open that up, type in your answer, and close it, and there should be a turn in or a submit or some kind of button. I've not seen the student side of this, so I don't know exactly what you get, but turn it in that way. You don't have to print it off and scan it and save it and all this stuff. You just need to do it through the team apps. That makes it easy. So just to update you on what I've done so far, I went through and everything up till today, I have given everybody credit for. I know that some people haven't gotten into the Teams app yet. So if you have classmates that you know that you can contact and tell them to check their school email and to go into the Teams app and get started. We already know that the first stay home from school was supposed to end on Monday, but the governor's stay in place order goes into April. So I would imagine that we'll still be doing this next week. So need to get involved and stuff. Now, everybody got credit. So there's no grades being hurt by what we're doing right now through this week. And I don't know about next week. I don't know how things are going to change. I know we're kind of waiting on the State Board of Education and the governor's office to kind of direct us on which way we're supposed to go and what we're supposed to do. So if you know someone and they haven't either seen the videos or they have not done the work yet or been on Teams app, encourage them to do so. Like I said, right now, everybody's got full credit. The idea was that during this week, we weren't supposed to do anything that would harm your grade adversely and would do something bad to your grade. So I went through and I did what we've done so far and just give everybody credit for it. Now, that might change. I don't know. You'll just have to stay tuned and find out. So today we were getting ready to start with stress and heart disease. And I will tell you that the evidence is out there that a lot of extra stress does contribute to heart disease. I can tell you personal stories about that. I had an aunt who had some heart issues. And when my grandmother got to where she was getting Alzheimer's and could not take care of herself, my aunt tried to go and take care of her. Her doctor told her she needed to stop. She didn't stop. It was going to end up killing her. It was the extra stress and the wear and tear on her already, I'll say, fragile heart. She'd had bypass surgery and stuff. And unfortunately, eventually it did happen. She just succumbed to her heart disease and she ended up dying. And a lot of it was attributed to extra stress. So stress can affect your heart adversely. Stress is a major contributing factor in the development of coronary heart disease, which is CHD, the leading cause of death and disability in the United States. Heredity influences our risk of developing CHD, but even among identical twins, the incidence of CHD is closely linked to attitudes toward work problems and the home and the amount of leisure time available. So stress does go into play. When they looked at identical twins and they see in one identical twin who had CHD and the other one didn't, they started looking and investigating what was the difference between the two, because biologically they were almost identical, as close as anybody could be. And that's where this study really got a lot of a good foothold and a good place to go, was when they started checking out and they started realizing that the underlying factor between the two, a lot of it was stress and how they handled things in life. So this becomes a real problem, okay? Frequent or chronic stress can damage the heart and blood vessels. The stress hormone cortisol increases blood pressure. It can trigger aneurysms, which is erratic heartbeats, and increase cholesterol levels. In addition to the amount of stress, the way in which individuals respond to stress is a predictor of heart disease. In the 1950s, cardiologists Meyer Friedman and Ray Roseman identified a behavior pattern they called type A behavior. People who respond to life events with impatience, hostility, competitiveness, urgency, and consistent striving. They devised a structured interview to distinguish type A personality from more easygoing type B people. A number of studies have shown that Friedman and Roseman structured interview not only does an excellent job of identifying people with type A behavior, but also predicts CHD. Most type A people do not develop cardiovascular diseases. There was a study of men who had no signs of cardiovascular disorder when given a personality interview, but found that 8.5 years later, type A personalities were twice as likely than type B personalities to have developed cardiovascular disorders. So those of you who are considered type A personalities, it very well could contribute to an increased chance of CHD. A more radical study found that when type is subject to harassment or criticism or playing a video games, their heart rate and blood pressure were much higher than those of type B personalities under the same circumstances. Current research indicates are more toxic than others, especially chronic anger and hostility, which do indeed predict heart disease. A 6-year study followed 13,000 people who appeared free of heart disease when the study began. Those who scored high on the anger scale were 2.5 times more likely to have heart attacks or sudden cardiac deaths during the next 6 years than their calmer peers. Impatience and ambition may not be a damaging, but constant annoyance is. So you could be impatient, you could be ambitious, it might not be so bad, but if you're constantly annoyed about your lack of progress, then that could be a problem. Friedman and his colleagues have reported some success in reducing the incidence of CHD through the usual counseling designed to diminish hostility in patients with type A behavior. There is evidence that depression is associated with heart disease and premature death, and that's also mounting. People suffering from clinical depression feel sad and lethargic, the opposite of the type A personality. It turns out that although they may appear to have given up, their bodies are in constant state of fight or flight arousal, and long-term exposure to stress hormones damages the heart and the blood vessels. So even if you have withdrew from life and try to stay away from everybody, they're saying that your body could still be in that fight or flight syndrome, and that's going to cause problems over the long time because your body is in a constant stress level that is too high. Okay. Now, stress in the immune system. Scientists have long suspected that stress also affects the function of the immune system. The immune system is strongly affected by hormones and signals from the brain. The function of the immune system is to defend the body against invading substances or antigens such as bacteria, viruses, and other microbes and tumors. It does so primarily with the help of the white blood cells called lymphocytes. To the extent that the stress disrupts the function of the immune system, it can impair health. A new field of psychoneurology, the PNI, studies the interaction between stress on the one hand and immune, endocrine, and nervous systems on the other hand. So they're really checking into this, okay? They're trying to figure out what is good and what is bad in this process, okay? We've got just a few pages left, and I'd like to try to finish this up tomorrow. What I'm going to do tomorrow, I'm going to go ahead and send out the study guide along with the question of the day. And if we do this and you have it tomorrow, then probably by Wednesday, which we may know more about what's going to be going on by the time Wednesday gets here, then on Wednesday, I would try to do some kind of a review session. I would do the video and probably just go over the answers. We can't really have a question and answer thing. I'm not really set up for that. That might be something I have to look into as we move forward from here. I know they talked about we have access to Skype through the school, but I don't know how that would work with a large group. There's Zoom. There's other things I can look into, but right now I'll continue to do the YouTube. I want you to remember that, everybody's in this together. Even though you may be staying just with your family and away from everybody, you still have friends, you still have people that care. If you need anything, feel free to email me through the school email, or you can call my school number at 217-639-5099 and just leave me a message. I check that voicemail a couple times a day. And if you leave me a message, I'll get back with you as soon as I can. So that's going to end for today. We'll probably finish this up tomorrow, and then we'll look at the study guide. And I don't know, maybe by Monday we'll have some answers and know where we're going to go. I don't think with the governor's stay-at-home order that we'll be back in school next week, which is going to make it more and more critical for everyone to start getting involved, get on the Teams app, and start trying to watch these YouTube videos as they come out. Okay. Have a great day, and I'll be back tomorrow.